So the eighth house in astrology talks about secrets and the taboo, death and regeneration, transformation, occult, which is like hidden knowledge. It also has to do with our partner's finances, and intimacy. It's the house that is associated with Scorpio. So the eighth house, the way that I like to think of it in astrology is that it's kind of like the house of conscious issues that we may be dealing with, as opposed to the 12th house that's unconscious issues. So like we are completely unaware. And the eighth house, we are more aware of these issues because it's kind of like the buildup of the first house through the seventh house, like everything we've gone through from there. So it's completely normal to have issues. Everyone has their own, insecurities, especially thinking of the eighth house as being across from the second house of our personal values and our self-esteem and self-worth. So everyone has topics to deal with personally. It's basically like our personal baggage from the first house to the seventh house is like involved in the eighth house, and so that's going to relate to intimacy because the seventh house being right before it with relationships, that is going to affect intimacy in our relationships and shared finances, as opposed to the second house being opposite from it. That has to do with material resources and finances. The eighth house being associated with occult and hidden knowledge means that, like, for example, if you have a placement in the eighth house, then there is something in your makeup, in your cosmic makeup, that is expanded and a bit more tapped in to the occult and things that are hidden. And so what that means is you may have like weird experiences growing up, intense experiences, like things that are related to maybe like ghosts or aliens, anything that are a bit taboo to talk about in society, which also involves sexuality. So sexual things are here because that is associated with intimacy as well. And so you have some association in this life with being more tapped into things that are hidden and unseen. And so that does make you a bit of a more intense person. I love Scorpio energy, so I think it's a great thing, but it does, being more tapped into those things does make you a bit more intense. It's kind of like someone who watches a lot of crime shows, for example, is going to be probably a bit more intense in their thinking. So you can kind of think of it like that. And so the eighth house is more associated with, like, you could think of it as like magical type topics in the occult, as opposed to the 12th house being associated with spiritual topics. And I do see a difference because when I think of magic, I think of an actual practice. So a conscious like practice that you do. Spirituality, of course, involves that as well, but spirituality is more of like the inner connection that we have mostly with ourselves and with the universe. So it's just a different way to think of those houses. So yes, the eighth house is definitely an intense house, a mysterious house. I like to think of it as the house of love and sexy magic, the Sierra song. I always think of it that way. So yeah, that's my little eighth house rundown.